Good evening. My name is Ainworth Hamilton. I'm the Vice President of Equity, and we're here to celebrate Viola Desmond tonight, and also to visit with people that are living the dream, whatever that might look like. Whatever that might look like. I would now call on Tim Maguire, President of Keep Local 79, to bring greetings on behalf of the local.
Thank you, Ainworth. Living the dream. Well, we're not at the dream stage yet, but we want to get there. So first of all, I want to thank Ainworth Hamilton and the QP Local 79 Human Rights Committee for once again arranging a celebration of Black History Month. And I want to thank our guests and speakers who, while we're celebrating other historical figures like Viola Desmond and her contribution to pushing back against racism and pushing for justice, we have current people that do just that in workplaces and at cities, and you'll hear from them, but they should be acknowledged as contributing as well. So we're celebrating history, but also talking about the importance of still contributing, because there are still struggles. And while I don't want to spend too much time on it, it's important that we're not only celebrating people's contributions, historical contributions like Viola's, and current contributions like you'll hear from our speakers and others. We live, of course, in a time when the gains that have been made for women, for Black people, for people from Islam background and others, equity generally, these gains are being challenged. They're being challenged in an era when Trump was running for president and being challenged now that he is. But we also have to recognize that even before this happened, they were being challenged here in Canada when another politician, Harper, was using language to get elected, to get votes, and to divide people. And Trump and Harper were about division, not about unity. And I'm proud of Local 79 for partaking in the march in Washington, here in Toronto, and I know some went to New York. And then I partook, and I know others did, in the march in mourning for those that were killed in Quebec, Muslim followers, Islam followers that were killed in Quebec, and to say no to that kind of hatred that was being spread as well. I won't spend any more time on that, because this is about celebrating Black History Month and the contributions made by Black community and people in the Black community. But I think the central message coming out of all of this, not only are these challenges to the gains that have been made and to move backwards, there's also a lot of good that's coming out, the solidarity that's being expressed in the women's movement and others to push back against the division that's happening. And I like actually the CUPE National poster that celebrates International Women's Day this year. And it's a picture of a number of women's legs. And it says, "Not one step back." And we should not be allowing, whether it's here or working with our brothers and sisters in the United States, allowing one step back. Because there are still gains to be made, but we're not going backwards. And I want to finish with a quote from Martin Luther King, who spoke at an AFL-CIO conference, I believe in Chicago, back in 1963 and 64. And I want to thank actually Pat Kelly and the other stewards at one of our social services offices for having this quote on their union bulletin board in a workplace. It might not have been Pat, it might have been someone else, but Pat got credit. I read it when I was there at a meeting recently. The quote says this. So he was speaking about the relationship between the civil rights movement and unions. Quote, "The two most dynamic movements that reshaped the nation during the past 3 decades are the labor and civil rights movements. Our combined strength is potentially enormous. We have not used a fraction of it for our own good or for the needs of a society as a whole. We make war on poverty, a total war. If we seek higher standards for all workers for an enriched life, we have the ability to accomplish it, and our nation has the ability to provide it. If our two movements unite, their social pioneering initiative, 30 years from now, people will look back on this day and honor those who had the vision to see the full possibilities of modern society and the courage to fight for that realization. On that day, the brotherhood of man, ungirded by economic security, will be a thrilling and creative reality. So that was in 1963 or 1964, thinking about the previous 30 years and projecting what the 30 years hence could look like. So those words not only applied in 1960s and during the civil rights era, those words still apply today. And neither in the nation south of the border nor in this nation have we achieved that kind of equal society. It's important that we stand together to support each other in the various communities, but particularly in the black community. I had the pleasure on a vacation a couple of years ago meeting one of the union leaders that walked on the march with Martin Luther King during a garbage strike, municipal garbage worker strike. And he told me, sadly, things are moving backwards. And some of the people that marched on that march because of that garbage strike were still working. Were still working part-time hours in their 70s to feed themselves, lifting garbage. And so we have to be prepared to stand amongst each other, yes, celebrate our history, but know that today the job's not done, and we have to work together to make sure that job gets done, and we stop the push away from equality and stand together towards more equality. And I want to thank you for coming to celebrate with us tonight Black History and to make this kind of a commitment that we're going to work together to defend against those threats. Thank you.